Hey, I'm here to document something that I just learned. I had a conversation with a Verizon representative just a few minutes ago, and the reason I called was that I got a text message yesterday saying that I had used up all of my prorated data, and I was concerned about that. And because I had gone to the website and everything looked fine in terms of the usage data that was presented there for our plan. I went to the website again, the Verizon Wireless, verizonwireless.com, and looked at the usage figures, and it showed that we had 2.151 gigabytes of data left for the next 3 days in the billing cycle. So I thought, well, I'm okay. There's nothing to worry about. And actually, I thought, well, maybe those messages are just a mistake or something, because the previous representative I had talked to, because when I got a message earlier saying that we were at 90%, I talked to a representative, and he said, oh, that's just an artifact, or that's just a result of you having made that change back in on the 8th of September. And I said, oh, okay, but we're not really at 90%. No, you're not really at 90%. No, you don't have to worry, you're okay. Well, the one today said, no, you're not okay. This is the figures that are real are the figures not that you're seeing. I mean, he didn't say that your figures that you're seeing are not real. He just said the real figures are the ones I'm giving you based on your prorated data plan, which means since it was about the middle of the billing cycle when I made that change to 6 gigabytes, it didn't, backdate to the beginning of the billing cycle and give me 6 gigabytes for that full period. No, it prorated. So essentially, I started off on the 14th of September when I made that change, only had 3 gigabytes left. And I say only because I guess we use a lot of data. But anyhow, if I had not called the guy, we would have ended up at the end of our billing period with I don't know how much extra data bill, how many dollars in data billed for extra, even though I'm looking at the screen and it's telling me, oh, everything's okay, don't worry. And so I told the rep, I said, no, I know you cannot change this necessarily, but maybe you can pass the word up to the supervisors there and tell them that as a customer, I feel there's a problem with this, that that Verizon should be able to should have the technology to make their website reflect the current reality of a customer's bill and not be misleading. And we also investigated another feature. Well, before I go into the other features, so just in summary, if I had gone up to a more expensive plan, they would have dated the change back to the beginning of the billing cycle, and that would have been just fine if I had been ready to pay them more money. But when I was trying to save money, then they can't. They cannot, or it's not that they can't, and that's what I pointed out to the guy. I said, look, okay, clearly technologically, you can implement a change effective the beginning of the current billing cycle. And he said, yeah, we can, but we only do that if you go to a bigger plan. If you go to a smaller plan, a less expensive plan, we don't do that. And I told him, I said, that does not seem to be in the best interest of the Verizon customers. It may be in the best interest of Verizon, but in the interest of the customers, not so. So that was one of the things that he and I touched on. And then another thing that he and I touched on is the information on our More Everything Canada and Mexico plan, okay? Because we're back and forth between the U.S. and Mexico, and so I went for all lines. I clicked on that, and it's showing me. It's got this bar here that says 1,000 minutes Canada Mexico shared by all lines. That's obviously the voice thing. And it shows me 216 minutes of 1,000 used, 784 minutes left. I asked him, hey, is that accurate? Oh, yeah. He said, well, I know from conversations with previous representatives that that's not true. And that's the reason we've been being so careful, because what happens is that after the end of the billing period, they'll get additional charges coming in based on the calls to between the U.S. and Mexico, and then you can get billed for those after the billing period. So it's completely conceivable that we might already be over our 1,000 minutes U.S. and Mexico plan right now, even though it shows only 216. I think we've left a big enough buffer there of 784 minutes that we're not going to be over. The point is, the customer doesn't know. There is no way the customer knows, and Verizon does not email you anything. Okay, so that's another error. And then here, one more error here, or flaw in their system, is I'm looking at the messages, and it shows me I've got unlimited messages. And I said, but wait a minute, I happen to know that for my U.S. or Canada and Mexico plan, that every text message that goes from the U.S. to Mexico or Mexico to the U.S. on the Verizon phone is charged 50 cents for sending, 5 cents for receiving. So, for example, and I don't think it's, I'll have to check on this, but I don't think it is based, pardon me, whoops, kind of lost me there. Oh, there I am, back. I moved the screen there. Yeah, I'm back. Maybe that's a visual advantage or disadvantage, I don't know. But anyhow, so essentially we're getting hit doubly. That is, if I send a message, it's 50 cents, and she receives it's 5 cents. So I'll have to, I'm not totally sure if I send it from the U.S. to Mexico that I get charged 50 cents. That's another thing I'm not sure of. I have to look into it. But I know if I send it from Mexico, I get charged 50 cents. And if I receive it in Mexico, I get charged 5 cents. So 50 cents and 5 cents. There's another misleading point, and I just think that all of this is really not in the best interest of the customers, clearly. And I think in the long run, it's in the best interest of Verizon to serve its customers well and fairly. And I can just imagine the hundreds, thousands, how many Verizon customers are just getting, well, what would be the word here? Bombswoogled? Something like that. Getting the short end of the stick on this one in terms of ending up having to pay more than they really should have to pay for the service they're getting. And that is it for now. Yes.